Okay, continuing with the other AFC South teams, we got 7 teams left. Yeah, 7. Cody, start us off with the Colts.
Colts, well, the biggest thing, I mean, this is already, everyone knows about this already, but their draft pick, Anthony Richardson's out for the season. I don't remember what for exactly, what he injured. Obviously something bad enough. Um, and so Gardner Minshew, being probably a top 5 backup quarterback, they may be in top 3 backup quarterback in the league, is helping them along pretty well right now. And so I like Gardner Minshew as a backup quarterback. He's pretty good in my opinion. And of course, as you said as well, Dustin, anytime I get a chance to shout out a Utah alum, I will. Zach Moss has been helping out the backfield along pretty well. Has been kind of having a little bit of a breakout, if you will. Jonathan Taylor came back, and so they've been kind of tag teaming it a lot. I like their coaching. I think their strategy is doing pretty well. So I think this team is kind of surprising me. And they are a team that you can't really blink twice about. You can't just kind of shrug your shoulders and think you're gonna be able to beat them. You got to prepare for them, even if Anthony Richardson isn't at the helm.
Yeah, to the Colts' credit, they can score a lot. They can score pretty well, which has helped them win games. But the other team scores a lot too, right? They're pretty even in points scored and points allowed this season, and it's so that's far about 500. But I like to see Gardner Minshew doing well, and I think either one of us or all of us predicted that Anthony Richardson wouldn't be able to stay healthy just because he never has throughout his entire football playing days. He's never been healthy, so hopefully that's a skill that he can develop.
Yeah. I've been surprised by the Colts. I predicted them. I said, and I quote, I think, that they are the second worst team in the NFL next to the Cardinals. That's what I predicted back in the preview. They're 5-5, and they're right in the thick of the playoff discussion. So, and that's even without Anthony Richardson at starting quarterback. And so they have surprised me. Shane Steichen has done really well as that head coach of the Colts. They're in an easier division where they can do that, but or that's what we thought at least. And then both the Jaguars and Texans are doing well too. So, okay, who is it now? Dustin, Jaguars.
So they have a great record. I mean, 6-3 is a record to be proud of. It's a playoff worthy record. If it wasn't so for such a strong just AFC in general. And so it's losses like the 49ers that I think kind of fool us into thinking this is not a good team, but this is a good team. Unfortunately, a lot of their wins that they've had have been close margin wins, and a lot of their 3 losses have been more blowout win losses. And so I think that this team is just as good as their record delineates, and I think Trevor Lawrence is continuing to show that he is the real deal.
Yeah. If we talked about the Jaguars last week, I would be on a different plane of thought, because their defense up until last week had been really good. They were tied for the league lead in turnovers. They were number 3 against the run. And Josh Allen was having the best season of his career at edge rusher. They were really good on defense. And then they just got the doors blown off by the 49ers last week. And the 49ers will do that. They find matchups and they exploit matchup problems. When you have George Kittle running down the field with Devin Lloyd trying to cover him, that's not going to work. And it's one-on-one. So the 49ers do that, but the Jaguars need to figure that out. And offense has struggled a little bit more than I thought it would this season, but they're still winning games. They're still the overwhelming favorites to win the AFC South, and I think they'll still do that. But yeah, if you're a Jaguars fan, last week wasn't a good week for you.
Yeah. Well, and Scott, nice Utah name drop,
Yeah, I dropped a Utah name.
Yeah, no, I don't have to do it. I'm kidding. I think I just lost my train of thought there. I just lost what I was going to say. I just think that my main thought is, it's gone.
Jaguars good or bad?
uh, Jaguar not there. Jaguars are good, and they'll. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. Sorry about that. At the beginning of the preview, my take was kind of a hot take that Trevor Lawrence is not an elite quarterback and he does not belong in the top 10. Um, and then I said like I'm happy for him to prove me wrong. And he I'm not I'm not saying he's elite still. He's not elite. I think he's probably number 10 in my opinion. He's kind of entering that list. So he's starting to prove me wrong, but I need more from him. But they have a good team. They have good coaching. They have what they need. But the Texans are nipping at their heels now, and so with that team and the Texans, they need to kind of be careful going forward. Games like the Niners game happens to good teams. Just happens, you just kind of got to get over it and move on.
Yeah. All right, Tennessee Titans. We all kind of thought this was going to be a bridge season anyway, from Tannehill over to Levis next year. The Levis era has started already. Tannehill's been benched. I think through 6 games or however many it was, Tannehill had 2 touchdown passes total. Levis had 4 in his first start. And so Levis is the guy. Obviously, he's a rookie and he's on a pretty bad team, honestly. And there's been some struggles, rookie struggles, and there will continue to be. But I like Will Levis. I liked him from the beginning. I thought he might have been one of the most NFL ready quarterbacks from the draft class, even. And I like him going forward. This is going to be a lost season. It's a bridge season. Titans are not going anywhere. Mike Vrabel might though. Not that he's necessarily going to get fired. I'm wondering if he's going to take the place for Bill Belichick for the New England Patriots head coach, considering the Patriots connections he's had over his career there. So that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I bet the Titans are pretty happy though with their steal of a draft, Will Levis, that he fell down in the second round because like you said, it's his first season. It's a kind of a trashy year for them, but they kind of know who they're going to be going forward with now in the following seasons. They have him, they're developing him this year, and so I think the expectation that they're having is that game one next year, we know who our starting QB is going to be, and he's going to be good. Um, and so yeah, and it's about with Mike Vrabel. I guess I wonder if the ownership will view it the same way that I am with that kind of idea is like, yeah, it's kind of a lost season, but that's because Tannehill was at it. We'll be better with Levis, or if they're not going to be as patient. And so definitely taking Belichick's spot is a possibility, but I think that they should give him the option to stay another year, and if they do, um, they could be a whole different team next year.
Yeah, I think on our preview we had a couple of questions about the Titans, being like, "Hey, will Levis start this year?" And we all said, "Oh, maybe, maybe not." And it's definitely yes. And he's kind of winning the spot for this year and for the foreseeable future, right? And then our other question was around Derrick Henry and what is his future and is he on the downhill? And so far he's proving that he is. And so I think that those answers are those questions are being answered, and it's making the future of the Titans very clear that a full rebuild is on its way.
Okay, Cody, Chicago Bears, NFC North.
All right, Chicago Bears. They are in a win-win situation right now, kind of. They are I think they have the Panthers pick for next year. And so they have, I think as it stands right now, I don't think they have the number 1 pick, but they have like the number 2 and number 4 or something like that. And so they
3.
have 2 and 3. Is that okay?
Yeah.
They have 2 picks in the top 3. And so they're happy about that. But Tyson Badgett isn't the answer, as we know. He's better than Justin Fields right now. But Justin Fields, he's out for the season, isn't he? I think no, he's
He'll
not.
be back
He's out.
next week, probably.
And so I think right now the Bears are wondering, how can we fix this? Justin Fields, it's obvious to us that he's not our long-term answer. He might be able to be a good backup, but we need to find someone else. And so I think they're already kind of looking at that at that kind of mentality, and they probably should be as well. They offensively they don't score much. They get about 20. Defensively, they're allowing almost 26. This is just not a good team, and I'm not really very impressed with Matt Eberflus either, as well as his coaching. So I don't know what his tenure there is going to look like. I think he's in his second season, so I would say under my own protocol that he has another year to prove himself. But um, ownership isn't as patient as me usually, so we'll see what happens.
So interesting with Justin Fields. He came into the season with high expectations. I think the NFL Top 100 program rated him in the top 100 players in the league. Justin Fields was. And so a lot of expectations on him. We all talked about development, which is taking more time in the pocket, playing as a passer. And so if we can all recognize the amount of development he needs, hopefully the Bears, the owners can recognize that, hey, he has potential. Other players in the league who vote on that top 100 obviously see that potential that he has. And so I hate the idea that the Bears are like, yeah, we got some top 5 picks. Let's go get Caleb Williams. Let's go get another quarterback and just give up on Fields, because I don't think that's the right answer, especially with us and everybody else saying, hey, he has so much development, so much potential. So why not use those picks to go grab an offensive lineman, to go grab another receiver, a running back, somebody on defense that's valuable. If you can use that, then you continue to develop the core that you have around Fields. I think that they can turn this around in a couple of years, as long as he can stay healthy. That's my opinion on it. Is I hate the idea that they said, "Oh, this doesn't work. We're 2 years in. Let's fire the coach. Let's change the quarterback. Let's do a total rebuild. It's not working. You're in the middle of a rebuild. Stick it out."
I agree with Dustin in most of this here. Look, if it stays where the Bears have number 2 and number 3 pick, you're going to go grab Marvin Harrison Jr., right? The best receiver to come out in years. Grab him and grab the best offensive tackle in the draft, and you've got something going there. Justin Fields, while he hasn't done a whole lot to prove he's the long-term answer, before he dislocated his shoulder, he threw 10 touchdown passes in 2 games. The guy is starting to show that he might have that long-term ability, but it's really going to depend what happens in the next few weeks now that he's supposed to be back from his thumb injury or whatever it was. But the Bears are 6-21 since Matt Eberflus has been the head coach, and they've made a lot of aggressive moves to try to improve that roster. They need to stick with them and see what one more year can do with 2 really high draft picks. So, yeah.
I can see those.
Detroit Lions, Dustin.
Secretly one of the best teams in the league. Has absolutely snuck up on the league. Jared Goff is absolutely a top 5 quarterback, and anybody that doesn't think so isn't watching football this season. He's amazing. The Lions as a team in general, that offense is so high powered. Watching them play the Chargers this past week, they put up so many points, and it was so easy for them, right? We've talked about the Chargers defense, but the Lions have a fantastic high-powered offense, and we should expect them to be a juggernaut through the end of the season and into the playoffs.
Yeah. It helps that the Lions play in the division that they play in. They're like the gorgeous beauty queen sitting among 3 redheaded stepchildren. I should say. It's a really easy division to win for the Lions. It's easy for them at this point. The Vikings are an interesting challenge. We'll get to them in a second, but the Lions have it pretty easy the rest of the way to win this division, and they're number 2 in the NFC, sitting at 7-2. One of the best teams in the NFL. Dan Campbell has the Coach of the Year award in the bag right now, and we'll see what happens once they hit the playoffs in an area where the Lions haven't been in lots of years. If that ramp up in competition shakes them at all. But right now, this is a top team in the NFL, top offense, top quarterback, top coach.
There's quite a bit I want to say, so I'll have to kind of filter out what I should say. But Dan Campbell, I really like him. He's really just revitalized this franchise. Um, and obviously they'll lose some games here and there, but even when they lose, you'll know that they were there. They are just gonna. I like what he says, like knock them in the mouth, eat their bones or something like that. Kind of crazy, but he's a really aggressive kind of guy, but he really makes the players believe in him and believe in the franchise. And that's where coaching begins, is trust in your leadership. And I think Jared Goff is another great example of how you give someone another chance or a better system to thrive in, how they can change into unlock their full potential. He is, like you said, he's a great quarterback. Right as it stands right now, I would love to see a Lions Texans Super Bowl. That would be cool, right? Is it going to happen? Probably not, but that would be kind of cool, because at that point we know that one of those teams has never won a Super Bowl, and they would. So, but I think as it stands right now, the Lions are probably my second favorite team right now. I'm cheering for them hardcore.
Neither of those teams have ever been to a Super Bowl, let alone win one. So
True.
yeah. Okay. Packers. It's me, right? Yeah. It's me, right? Packers. Yes, it is. Okay. Green Bay Packers. Obviously, this is going to be a rebuilding season from the beginning. Even if the Packers didn't say it outright, they knew it was going to be one. The biggest question is if Jordan Love is that franchise quarterback. He's improving in some ways, but he's just not very accurate, especially downfield. He doesn't look like the Brett Favre who waited, or the Aaron Rodgers who waited behind Brett Favre. He doesn't look like he has that sort of elite quarterback status coming. He's throwing less than 60% completion percentage. He's only one of 3 starters who are below 60%. Zach Wilson being one, believe it or not, Matthew Stafford being the other. But those 3 are under 60% completion. He's just not a very accurate quarterback. The Packers have the youngest roster in the NFL, and it's showing. They're in they need to go full rebuild next year and stop pretending that they can compete, and then they'll get better quicker.
I think I agree 100% with everything you just said. I was even looking at some of their stats. Right now, their rushing leader is AJ Dillon with not even 400 yards right now. So they're not running the ball very well. Passing the ball, not, like you said already, under 60%. And so how do you expect to win games when you're not running the ball very much and you're under 60%? You're not going to win games. And then you also have 10 interceptions on the year currently. And so this team needs a lot more, I guess, just time to gel. Like, we said they're a young team, but they just need a little bit more of that talent. And I agree with you, Scott, that there's something about Jordan Love that does not scream. I mean, and I guess it's the completion percentage, but there's something else that screams, this is not an Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. And so this is, if you're a Packers fan, this is unknown territory. Honestly, the last 30, 35 years, they've had a quarterback who can lead the franchise. And right now that's a question mark.
Yeah, I think all 3 of us expected the Packers to have this kind of season that they're happening. And I think that most other people in the NFL. And so if Packer fans or Packer ownership had different expectations, that's on them to try to manage that and understand what true expectations are with the youngest roster in the league and a brand new quarterback. You can't just put that all in there with high expectations. And so they do need to embrace the rebuild and just let it go for a year or 2, maybe 3, and just kind of let this core group try to keep them together, let them grow up and see where you're at in 2 years.
Great. Last one. Cody, start us off with the Minnesota Vikings.
So I think last week, I think it was last week, Scott, you had mentioned about Josh Dobbs, how he had transitioned really quickly with the Cardinals. Very quickly, he was able to just kind of get in, learn the system, boom, out there. And you said I don't see any reason why he can't do it with the Vikings. And you're right. He's doing the exact same thing. He's out there, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's looking great. If I was a Vikings fan, I would put the ball in his hands and I trust it. I think he'll figure it out. He has great decision making ability, and so I think that I was thinking, if you don't have Kirk Cousins, your season's falling apart. But Josh Dobbs came in with that Superman cape on, and he's keeping them kind of afloat. That's fascinating. It's interesting. It's fun to watch and to see him do that. Um, and so we'll see what he can do the rest of the way.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions and comments. My first question is, do you know what team has the longest win streak in the NFL? It's the Vikings. They've won 5 in a row. They're doing incredible. And Josh Dobbs obviously a huge part of that. The other question or comment or joke maybe even is we talked about Jared Goff and the Lions, where it says, okay, it took him a couple years to kind of learn the system, learn the playbook, and Josh Dobbs comes in and says, what playbook? I just come out here and play football. Right. and so it's fun. It's fun. It's exciting to see him do well and to see the Vikings do well. And I hope this win streaking continues, especially with my prediction of the Vikings making it to the Super Bowl. I was really worried about that a few games ago, but here they are. They've won 5 in a row. So why not continue that?
Yeah. Mentioned Dan Campbell has the coach of the year in the bag. If the Vikings make the playoffs, Kevin O'Connell is stealing that out of his bag. Because Kevin O'Connell has done a great job as coach of this team through all of the struggles, through the injuries, through trades. They bring Cam Akers over. Cam Akers tears his ACL and is out. They're pinning everything on Kirk Cousins. He tears his Achilles. He's out. Justin Jefferson, they're the best wide receiver in the NFL, tears a hamstring. He's out, and he's said that he's not going to return until his hamstring is 100%. That could mean that if he continues to be on the IR for 3 or 4 more weeks, he doesn't get to come back. He's out for the rest of the season. And so it really is dependent on that. But they're winning games without those 3 guys. You start Jaron Hall, and he plays about twice as many snaps as Aaron Rodgers before he's gone. Joshua Dobbs comes in, and boy, he looks fun. He's fun to watch, and who knows? This is a fun Vikings team that is a coin flip almost every game, but they get the luck of the draw, and they do everything. They win games, and they're continuing going forward. They're a fun team to watch. They play on Sunday night this week against the Broncos, which is a team that's, as we said at the very beginning of this, looked good in 4 straight games. So you could almost say that this is an elimination game as early as this between 2 teams in different divisions. So, yeah.
One last thing I want to say as well is if Joshua Dobbs continues in this, let's say he continues in this, finishes with a great completion percentage, great TD to interception ratio, gets into the playoffs. For me, in my opinion, the fact that Geno Smith won Comeback Player of the Year last year for doing kind of the same thing, I think that Joshua Dobbs would be the front runner of that. There would be a lot of other players who could have that, and who would be well deserving of that as well. Like, I mean, obviously, Damar Hamlin, but that would be, something that someone could argue is like, hey, if Geno Smith did that, this guy, Joshua Dobbs is just as deserving.
Yeah, if Joshua Dobbs cures cancer, I think that's how he wins it. But it's Damar Hamlin's right now. He's got it.
Yeah, I love all of the astronaut puns that they're throwing into these. If you've been watching the games, it's like every week when you're watching a Vikings game, the announcers have to spend about 20 minutes every game saying how smart Joshua Dobbs is. He majored in Tennessee as an aerospace engineer. He's an astronaut essentially. He if he didn't have an NFL career, he could be up at the moon. And they're saying how smart this guy is, and it's showing how quickly he can pick up that playbook and things like that. But it's getting kind of old, honestly. Every game they're like, "Did you know this guy's an astronaut?" So yeah, it's fun. Anyway, that's our midseason report. I mean, we'll talk about the NFL almost every week going forward in some capacity or not or other. But the next time we'll really touch on all of these teams together is really playoff. We'll talk about the teams that didn't make the playoffs and what their next step is for next season, and then playoff preview and going forward. So I think we've done a good job of kind of taking the temperature of where each of these teams are, and we're going to do an NBA midseason report around the same time we do a playoff report for NFL. That's going to be around middle of January, maybe beginning of February, wherever that occurs at this point. So,
And I was gonna say, I think we only got 8 more weeks too of the football season, so that's pretty crazy.
okay, thanks everyone for holding on a little bit. It's past 10 o'clock where you are, Cody, but so thanks for holding on, and we'll continue to try to keep under the 40 minutes. Today was off for several reasons, but so thanks everyone. Talk to you next week.